Yun. Ah, may nakita na kayo sa screen?
Meron na po, sir.
Okay, so let us begin today's topic, which is a continuation of agricultural commodity system. And this time, today, we will discuss about agricultural production sector. So hinahati-hati pa rin. There are several divisions of the agricultural system. Number one is production, then number one is input, then production, then processing, then you have the marketing, etc. No? So this today we will discuss about agricultural production sector. Why sector? Because there are a lot of activities and enterprises involved in the agricultural production sector. Doon sa input sector, marami ring mga businesses who are engaged in the input sector like uh, people who are selling seeds, people who are selling plastic bags, plastics for mga seedlings, nets, fertilizer of course, and then other implements na ginagamit like mga machines, traktora, those are included in the input sector. This time, we will focus on the production sector. Normally, the production sector will be so we will be discussing about uh, the farmers and the farm kasi nandiyan yung production sector. So, in a way, production practices are actions and processes carried out to achieve production objectives. So, ito yung mga activities na ginagawa sa farm kung saan yung resulta ng mga activities na yon ay para ma-achieve mo ang iyong objective. Normally, the objective ng production is to produce a harvest or a volume of crops or commodity, or kung sa livestock yan, meron kang number of heads and number of kilograms. So this one, when we are talking about the crops, included sa production sector is the fertilization, the irrigation, kasi mga processes, mga gawain yan. At ang process ay hindi naman siya one time na ginagawa. It is a continuous process almost on a daily, hindi naman daily basis ang fertilization. Kaya lamang once ka nag-apply, kaso yung effect ng fertilization mo ay nararamdaman ng halaman on a daily basis. Parang ina-advance mo ang paglalagay. And then kapag ka sa tansya natin, nagwe-weigh na o wala na ng yung fertilizer mo ay dideplete na rin, nauubos na ng mga halaman, then you apply again. At the same time, daily pa rin ang effect niya. At the same time, ang irrigation, almost daily kasi may mga times na daily ka nagdidilig. Sometimes naman hindi kapag umuulan. Pest and diseases, di ka naman nag-spray ng mga pesticides or any concoction kontra sa mga insekto, pero araw-araw mo naman siyang binabantayan, no? For resurgence o kaya arrival of new insects o kaya tinitingnan mo kung may mga damages as a sign of infestation. So, almost daily rin yan sa mga farmer na ginagawa. And then you have pruning, kung saan maraming mga halaman ay mas gumaganda kapag pinuprune because you are putting the plants na i-concentrate niya yung kanyang mga energy, yung kanyang nutrients doon sa mga intended areas na magagamit siya sa, let's say, kung fruiting or flowering rather than producing leaves. No? Sa atin naman, sa livestock, you have the feeding daily, disease prevention like plants, araw-araw mo rin siyang binabantayan, and of course, control. So those are practices under the agricultural production sector. Another practices Um, Ayan, picture of fertilization, and then looking for infestations. And it says here, the potential of a certain site for production depends on its climatic sustainability, or suitability, I mean, for the varieties to be grown and the status of the fixed or natural resources, specifically the availability of sufficient high-quality water and suitable soil. So, ang sinasabi na potential ng isang lugar o isang area, isang farm o land o lote, no? Eh hindi lamang siya masasabi natin na basta may lupa ka na, eh pwede ka na mag-farming. Pwede naman, kaya lamang yung suitability niya, yung pagiging bagay niya sa pag-grow ng crops or livestock ay depende sa maraming mga bagay like natural resources. Ano ba ang estado ng natural resources like water availability, no? High quality ng water, kailangan high quality, no? Kasi merong water na almost polluted na, hindi nga siya pwedeng ipandilig sa halaman because rather than making it alive, eh pwedeng maging toxic pa siya sa halaman. And then suitability of soil. Because as you know earlier, do sa mga previous subjects nyo, beyond your high school days, or maybe now, may subject kayong soil. There are several classes or types of soil depending on the availability ng ano noon, yung materials mismo ng soil. Ano, merong loose, merong very compact soil, mga clayey soil, merong sandy, merong loam, etc. No? So, depende sa suitability ng pagiging productive ng soil. Another thing, all resources come at cost, and the scarcer the resources, sabihin kapag kukonti niya, the higher the cost. So, kung ikaw ay farmer or an entrepreneur, laging iisipin ay may gastos. Probably that's the reason why until now, when people are always talking about, especially ang ating mga running for political positions, eh di nakakalimutang banggitin ang agriculture. Other time, well, few days ago, si Bongbong Marcos will be running for president. I'm not campaigning for him. Ano? Narinig ko lang. Balikan natin ang agrikultura. Yan ang ating paunlarin. But this has always been the subject of many presidential speeches, ang agriculture. Di mawawala yan. Kasi alam mo naman, may mga scriptwriter yan. Dapat din natin iiwanan sa ating plataforma ang agriculture. Kasi yan ay tatanong. Ano. But sinasabi na merong cost yan. Merong cost ang resources. Kaya babalikan ko yung una kong sinabi, maraming mga lupa pa rin na mapapansin nyo dito sa atin. No? Palibot na idle, walang nakatanim. Kung meron man nakatanim, hindi naman talagang inaasikaso. Minsan makikita mo niyog, saging, ano. And then, alam mo naman yung inaalagaan. No? Sa saging kasi malaman mo kung binabantayan sa dami noong kanyang clump o yung puno sa isang punuan niya. No? Kung yan ay inaalagaan, normally, 3 to 4 lang ang makikita mong puno ng saging. That is the practice para lumaki ang bunga niya at saka hindi magkaroon ng overcrowding. Kapag nakita mo nang nasa mga maybe 10 hanggang aabot pa ng 15, eh hindi na aalagaan yun. So maraming tayo pa rin mga ganyang land. Ano? At ang tanong, ba't hindi nila alagaan? Number one is that cost. May cost ang pagbubukid. May cost ang pagtatanim. No? May cost din kung may tubig ka na available like what you're saying here. Actually, yan artificial. Ano? May cost yung paahunin mo ang tubig pupunta sa farm mo. Generator, kung wala kuryente. Of course, you need a motor, yung pump na idodro mo yung tubig, paakin mo para paabot sa ano. Meron yung cost, no? And yan ang sinasabi ko na it's not easy to convert an idle farm to a productive one. Mahal. An ordinary person could not afford it, or an ordinary person could not afford it. No, more so, yung other requirement for that, you need fences, bakod. No? Can you imagine? Nag-alaga ka ng matagal na panahon waiting for your crops na bubunga, no? So binabantayan mo siya. All of a sudden, nung gabi, siyempre umuwi ka na, pagbalik mo, pagtingin mo, wala na yung mga bunga. Somebody just waited na umuwi ka and nakawin sa'yo. So anong mararamdaman mo roon? I heard yesterday, 2 days ago, may nagkukwento sa akin, ganun ang istorya niya. Talagang, sabi ko, kilala niyo ba yung kumukuha? Sabi niya, oo, mga kamag-anak pa namin. Those are the problems, security. So, yung mga gustong maiwasan yon, they have to put fences around. Kaya lamang, can you imagine if you have 1 hectare land, babakuran mo ng barbed wire. Mas maganda sana yung hollow block, semento. At lagyan mo pa ng barbed wire sa taas. Talagang wala makakapasok. And I saw several setup na ganon just to eliminate the chances that other people would come and steal from you. And also, bukod sa mga tao na pwedeng nakaw, pwede rin mga kambing o mga stray na mga animals, baka. Inaalagaan mo, pinafertilize mo, and then suddenly, wala, ubos. That would force you talaga na magbakod. At costly yun. So, napakamahal ng pagpapabakod ngayon. And then, sige, may bakod ka na, etc. Kompleto ka na. But here comes the uninvited guest. Pest. Insekto. At doon na tumira. Doon at meron akong isang farm na inaalagaan. They hired me as a consultant. Ang problem, insekto. Insekto, doon mismo sa mga damong tumutubo. Alam niyo naman ngayon, ang mga damo masyadong gumanda because of continuous rains. Yan ay very favorable sa mga weeds. So doon na rin sila tumitira, and then pagdating ng gabi, pupunta roon sa mga halaman, and then they eat portion of the leaves. So kamot sa ulo yung farm owner. Sabi ko, pinayuhan ko how to do it. So I'll just dramatizing, the real problems of setting up a suitable place para sa farming. Hindi madali magsabi na let's go into agriculture, let us plant. Pero di naman sinasabi yung cost. Let's go into reality. There is a cost for that. Lahat ng sinabi ko sa inyong problems na yun, ang katapat noon ay pera. At hindi maliit na pera. It's a huge investment. This could be the similar problem sa South Africa. South Africa ay mga blacks ang tao dyan. But because of their gold deposits, sa kanilang mga minahan, maraming mga white people, probably coming from Europe, especially yung mga English people, nag-put up sila ng mga minahan dyan. And slowly, Siyempre may pera dyan. Nagdatingan yung other white people. So ngayon, marami ng mga puti dyan. Pero andun pa rin naman yung mga blacks. Ano? And this South African region or countries, surface area can be used for crop is only about 13%. Imagine kung may 100,000 hectares ka, eh 10,000 mahigit o 13,000 hectares lang ang pwede mong magamit sa growing of crops, and that is the South Africa. So probably that's the reason why maraming cases ng famine, paggutom diyan sa lugar na yan. Talagang hirap na hirap pa rin ang ibang mga lugar na yan, no? Because the production area is very, very low at only 13%. And from that 13, they are called arable land, yung pwedeng sakahin. Maybe the rest of 87% are barren or baka may desierto na rin dyan. Basta hindi siya pwedeng tamnan. No? Maybe all of them are sand. No? And only 22% noong 13% ng area of this area is considered to be high potential arable land. So, napakaliit pa rin. Suitable land is the primary fixed resource and without it, nothing can be produced. No? I have traveled north to Isabela, Cagayan. May madadaanan ka mountainous area, no? Almost very near sa major highway, pero wala ring tanim. No? Ang reason doon ay hindi dahil tamad, kundi dahil walang cover soil. Kung meron man, napakanipis noong lupa sa ibabaw noong rocks. No? And they are just enough to sustain grasses like cogon, etc. May purpose din siya para hindi ma-erode, pero hindi siya pwedeng mag-host ng mga productive plants like trees, no, fruit trees, hindi kakayanin, masyadong manipis ang lupa. So, i-consider natin yung suitability ng lugar. And what is production? Kanina banggit ko yung production objectives. So ano ba ang production objectives? These are normally measured in terms of yield. So kung tinanong ka, meron kang 1 hectare, ganong karami ba ang ini-expect mo na harvest doon sa iyong intended crops? Assuming na ang tinanim mo ay white corn for human consumption, more or less meron kang target na gaanong karami na piraso, no? O kung titimbangin, how many kilograms of corn can you harvest? No? And then also, kung malakihan ang farm, ilang percent ang na-export, ibig sabihin surplus yon ng iyong supply here locally. And probably, talagang naglalagay ka ng portion for export because maganda ang presyohan sa export market. Fruit size. Pang-export, masyadong mataas ang grade. No? So, the best of Class A ang i-export mo. And external and internal quality. Ganda ng balat niya. No? Yung loob, makatas ba? Kung yan ay citrus. No? And then there is a instrument used to measure the sweetness, yung Brix refractometer. No? Bumili nga ako noon, kasi gagamitin ko pang test. So diyan nalalaman ang presence ng nutrients ng sucrose doon sa mga katas niya, especially doon sa bunga, sa leaves pwede rin. So malalaman mo kung healthy ang iyong plants, not by just looking at it or tasting it, but rather by using an instrument. Merong doong gauge kung saan 0 to 30. Bawat halaman merong equivalent na ranges kung saan masasabi mong healthy siya. kung matamis siya, so mababasa doon sa Brix refractometer. So yun yung ano, kung mga large farms, pwede mong isama rin as your measure yung kanyang quality ng fruits. Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin masarap yan, but you have to measure it by numbers. So one way nga yung refractometer. Another term is production management. So here, you need to put yourself into a shoe of farm owner, a farm manager. Farm owner, farm manager rolled into one. Ikaw may kanya, ikaw din ang farm manager, which is a good setup. But there are people na marami namang ginagawa pang iba, marami siyang businesses. So, that owner hire one person to act as his production manager so that he can attend to other important things. Habang lumalaki, you delegate. You delegate some of your duties kasi mapo-focus ko lang doon. Of course, you need to market your product, go to so many linkages, you need to attend seminars also para madagdagan ng alam mo. You need to, ika nga, ay mingle with interesting persons, pwedeng buyers, pwedeng suppliers, pwedeng common people, pwedeng kasama ka competitor mo, nag-meet niya sa mga seminars, and look for ideas that can help improve your farm. So there, under the production management, are production system and production practices. Sa kayo ay may mga subjects na nakafocus on production at meron ding practices na kayong nadaanan. Ito yung how to grow crops, how to control pests and diseases. Yun ay how to. But kapag in-apply mo siya sa real situation, they are called practices. Ang practices din ay pwedeng magkaroon ng differences depende sa lugar, depende sa babagay na panahon. Kasi merong practices na bagay lang siya doon sa country na merong tinatawag nating season ng winter. Hindi naman natin pwedeng gayahin yun dito kasi wala naman tayong winter. So production practices differ, but the basic na tinatawag natin na management, like managing people, probably could be similar. There are some tinatawag natin na mga fundamentals na pare-pareho lang yan. How to motivate your people, like that, yung mga tauhan mo. So under the production management, you need to look after these 5 important things like reproduction, how you multiply if your enterprise requires na paramihin mo. Meron naman kasing enterprise like kung nag-aalaga ka ng milking cows, nagbubuntis sila pero minsan yung kanilang anak binebenta mo na lang kasi doon ka lang nakapokus sa milk production. Of course, you need to monitor the performance. Itong ginamit ating sample dito sa milk production, performance niya. So you need to measure araw-araw ganong karami ang nakukolekt natin na milk dito sa cow number 112. May record na nakalista yan. Sa Pilipinas, ang record ng cow natin, yung Bupalo. Dito sa bandang General Trias is around 5 to 6 or 6 to 8 liters per day. Litro ha. Ang isang litro, yung kasi yung bote ng Coke, 1.5 yun. Pero nung una, 1 liter. So, mas malaki ngayon, 1.5. So, 5, 6 hanggang 8 ang record natin dito na nakukong gatas kada inahin. Tapos, araw-araw yon after na siya ay manganak. Yung anak naman, hindi na niya papadedehin. Bibigyan na lang ng may kanya ng artificial milk. Para makuha na niya ng gatas. Why? Because mas mahal kasi yung fresh milk kaysa rin sa mga artificial milk. And then, ililista mo yon. The moment na itong cow na ito ay, or buffalo, bumababa ang kanyang daily production, you should be alerted and look for things like baka kulang sa pakain ng fresh grasses, kulang sa tubig, kulang sa paligo, etc. So you monitor the performance. Ang highest record na narinig ko sa Pilipinas is around 16 liters per day. Around 16 liters per day. Sa ano yan? Sa Visayas State University. Ito ay sa malapit sa Leyte. By Leyte yan eh. Tinanong ko yung kaibigan kong dating presidente ng university na yun, Visayas State University. Sir, bakit kayo mataas ang inyong milk production dito? Tsaka meron na silang processing ng milk. Sabi niya, yan tinanong ko na rin at pinag-aralan namin because we found out na dito kasi sa lugar namin, ang rainfall ay matagal. At hindi naman malalakas, just enough to water even the grasses. At yun ang isang reason na nakikita namin because of the prolonged period ng rain. So, yun ang probably, so ganun ang kanilang explanation. But, kumpara sa isang nakausap kong kaklase ko, noong umuwi siya, galing ng Middle East, I think, I don't know kung Saudi Arabia or UAE, or something sa Middle East na country, ito yung matandaan. At nung magkumustahan kami, na daw siya sa farm ng animals, no? At specifically sa milk production. Sabi ko, ganun karami ba talaga ang nakukuha yung gata sa isang cow? Sabi niya, naku, doon ay marami. Can you imagine, sabi niya, sa isang araw, nakaka-65 liters kami. 62 yata. Basta 60 or 65, something like that. Nasa mga 60s, naparami. At ang ganun karami naman. Sabi niya, nasa pakain niya at saka sa breed ng baka. Pag nakita mo naman laki ng baka na inaalagaan namin, magugulat ka sa laki. Tsaka yung pinapakain namin dyan ay talagang highly nutritious. Can you imagine 65? So parang imagine parang umiinom lang ng gatas na rin na iniinom mo, di ba? So ganun kataas na ng production ng gatas sa buong mundo, no? Because sila ay talagang into export na. Of course, the feeding, nabanggit ko kanina, you need to monitor the feeding and compare it with the requirement and monitor also kung gumaganda, no? The animal health, major problem is the animal health. I have a few chickens here, alaga rin namin. Hanggang ngayon, we still have problems with their health. No? Suddenly, they just fall dead. Mamatay lang bigla. Of course, may sakit yun. Ang ugali kasi ng mga fowl, including pati rin ng mga ibon, in the wild, kung may nararamdaman sila, they would not show it because that is the law of survival sa wild. No? Huwag mo ipakitang may sakit ka kasi pag pinakita mong may sakit ka, you will be targeted by other animals. You become victims doon sa mga prey. Ikaw ay kakainin. So as much as possible, huwag kang magpapakita. And nakuha din yan ng mga manok. No? Ganun sila. Until to the very last moment na hindi nila kayang papakita, mahihina. And then when you discover, it's too late. So naku, nakakasakit ng tagal mong inalagaan from eggs to maturity and then biglang mamamatay. So, sakit ng ulo ng mga production people in the farm. And of course, in this case, milking, ang unang practice ng milking is manual. Isa-isang, so, person, isang baka, lipat siya sa kabila. So can you imagine if you have 500 milking cows? No? So nauso na, siyempre, they go into technology by putting sucking machines, kakabit na lang, at lahat yon nakakonekta sa isang tubo, pupunta ron sa isang ipunan ng gatas. Tsaka dyan napiprevent, siyempre, yung contamination from handling, siyempre, ng mga tao. So, ganun ang production management. So, here is another terminology that I want you to be familiar with, production system. This involves the use of variety of production practices. Variety, hindi iisa. Maraming dapat kang matutunan. Therefore, yung mga matututunan dito sa university would not be totally enough to sustain you kapag kayo nagtayo ng isang negosyo, because practically what we would be sharing with you are tinatawag nating basic or fundamentals. Pag sinabing basic, it will always be true. Ano ba yung it will always be true? There are certain types of plants that you need 8 hours of sunlight. Certain type of plants. That would always be true. Fundamentals yun. You need X amount of water para maging productive ang isang halaman. That would always be true. So yun ay tinatawag natin mga fundamentals. Basic. Kalimitan di nagbabago. At yung mga books na nasulat dyan, ginagamit pa rin hanggang ngayon kasi fundamentals yan. Sa human anatomy naman o sa animal anatomy, ay kahit luma ng libro, yung tungkol doon sa internal organs will always be true. Ganun pa rin siya. Doon pa rin nakapwesto ang liver, doon pa rin nakapwesto ang heart. Ganun pa rin. Ganun pa rin ang function. Ganun pa rin siya nag-assimilate ng nutrients. Ganun pa rin niya inilalabas kung hayop yan as manure. Ganun pa rin. They are fundamentals. But the production system changes. At yan, kalimitan ay hindi namin makiklaim na itinuro namin sa inyo forever true. Kasi may mga production system na because of new technology na tatabunan, naging obsolete na yung dating practices in favor of new practices that proved to be more efficient, economical, and sustainable. Okay? So ito, mga production system nito ay variety. Nag-iiba-iba yan at marami kang pwedeng pamilian or i-combine to produce a crop of the highest possible standard in terms of quantity, quality, and size in order to achieve your production objective. So, balikan natin yung kanina. When you have that land, kinakailangang napag-aralan mo na gaano karami dapat ang ma-harvest ko rito. Gaano karami dapat ang kilograms in terms of meat or live weight. No? So, coordinating the production system requires effective production management. For the production system, you need a manager. You need people. Or kung wala ka, you need to learn everything by yourself. Issues to consider when deciding whether or not land is suitable for production of a specific crop or livestock. Kanina nabanggit ko sa inyo as example, maraming mga lupa ang idle. At marami rin naman na mga tao nangangarap at lagi ko narinig sana o kaya pag nag-retired ako gusto ko merong farm. O yung mga na i-stress na sa kanilang current job. Na gusto ko may farm kasi mas relax Relaxing daw yon, therapeutic. Only to find out, nag-put up sila ng farm, na stress din sila. They were, parang nagulat sila. Nakakasakit din pala ng ulo dito sa farm, especially when it's about time to pay everything, salary ng mga tao mo, babayaran mo na yung in-order mo, then here comes the reality, in-expect mo, di nangyayari because there are other things that hinders your way. Ito yung mga natin, checklist ng dapat nating tingnan kung ang isang land ay suitable. Is the land of sufficient size to support required plantings or heads of animals? Ang kada animals or kada crops, mayroong tinatawag na suggested area. Let's say, kung grazing ang cow, pag sinabing grazing, yung cattle mo, alpas. Free sila na pagpaikot-ikot. Hindi sila naka-confined para mga rancho. Before, 1 hectare per head. Dapat marami siyang, 1 hektare, isang lupa na sila roon. Sila na maghanap ng kanilang makakain, maraming damo doon. Yun ang ibig sabihin. Pero ngayon, pwede mong i-reduce yung 1 hectare by planting, no? Grasses like itong mga napier grasses, tapos mayroon pa mga bagong variety ngayon ng napier na mas masustansya, no? Pwedeng hindi na ganun kalaki, hindi na 1 hectare is to 1 head. At pwede mo nang i-confine ng iyong animals and then harvest the napier and feed them. So kinakailangan yung both of them should be considered at alam mo during establishment ng iyong farm, no? Is the land located in the right climatic area to support the desired varieties, animal breed, climatic? Huwag naman doon sa lugar na favorite daanan ng bagyo. Kaya, as I mentioned, dyan sa Bicol, no, laging tinatamaan ng bagyo. May welcoming party yata ang dyan eh. Ang mga lugar dyan, laging dyan sinasalubong ang mga bagyo. So, normally, crops there are not that productive. Baka maraming tumigil na sa pagpa-farm dyan. So, hanapin mo yung climatic lugar. Pangalawa, yung heat ng sunlight or sun. Mayroong masyadong mainit at hindi kakayanin ng halaman, including animals. Ang pinakamainit na lugar dito sa Pilipinas na ando sa norte, parting Cagayan. Sobra init yan. Dito naman sa medyo malapit, Pangasinan, malapit sa dagat, ganun din. Kaya pag tingnan nyo during tag-init, they are the first to record highs ng temperature. Does the land have sufficient areas of the required soil type and quality? Kung gusto nyo malaman yung soil type, may mapa na yan. Meron ng record niya ng Department of Agriculture. Meron ng mga application kung saan itong lugar na ito, type of soil, and anong mga halaman ang pwedeng i-grow dito. You have to check first, no? Does the land have a sufficient supply of high-quality water, as I mentioned earlier, required ng crops and animals? Tubig ang isang major requirement in farming. Without that, medyo downgrade mo ang plano mo. So, ang iba, siyempre, bukid yan, walang electricity, they could resort to the alternative one, which is yung solar panels. Siya yung magrara ng iyong electricity to pump water. Pero magpapadrill ka pa at yun, mahal din. Sa mga setup niya, nasa 120,000 pesos. Ganyan, ka-costly siya. No? Yung isang minamanage ko, walang kuryente, generator. Sa 150,000 ang generator, my goodness. Kailan babawiin yon? Is the land located close to sources of skilled and unskilled labor? This one is problem right now. Yung aking kaibigan na si Ka Eddie Silan of Silan's Farm, yung nag-grow ng dragon fruit. But kilala siya sa dragon fruit, but they are the major supplier na rin ngayon, grower ng other vegetables like tomato, eggplant, ampalaya, and papaya. Sila ay large scale na ang kanyang production doon. No? Kung tinatanong ko, kukwentohan kami sa akin, naging problema ko rin yan, mga skilled, yung mga labor. Kasi dito sa, sabi niya, dito sa Indang or dyan, dito sa Cavite, and as a whole, and pare-pareho, ang hirap maghanap ng, ng farm worker. Nakakita ka, pero mga 1 week lang, maalis na. Merong iba, pagdating ng pinasweldo mo na 15, bukas di papasok. Ay, bakit? Pag uwi noon, bibili gin. Tawagin yung kapitbahay, magiinom na parami. Hindi makakapasok bukas. Tapos, schedule mag-harvest, schedule mag-fertilize. Hindi makakapasok, mabibitin ka. So, sakit ng ulo. So, what he did was to look for mga migrants. Hindi naman migranting galing sa ibang bansa, kundi migrant from other provinces like yun, from Bicol, Samar, sa Ormoc, no, maraming nakarating dito noon dahil mahirap ang buhay dyan. So they became part of the labor force sa farm. At ang ginawa niya, doon sa farm, nagtayo na siya ng mga houses doon. Kung saan doon na sila tumitira. Hindi na sila uuwi sa Bicol, sa Ormoc. Ando na yung pamilya nila. Sa pinapag-aral na rin niya yung mga bata. Wala nang reason. Bawal mag-inom kapag bago sweldo. Kung mag-iinom, konti lang para makakapasok bukas. So, he controlled the situation. Is the land situated at an appropriate and manageable distance from packing and transport facilities? Dito sa Indang, nung minsan nag-visit kami ng farm, no? Can you imagine, 2 creek ang tatawirin mo bago ka makarating doon sa lupa niya. Ang tanim pinya. Pero paano na-harvest yung pinya? Paano makakarating doon sa kalsada? Inuupa namin, hakutin. Pwedeng kabayo, pwedeng tao, pasaan niya sa sako. You have to pay maghahakot. So, cost yun. And probably, pwedeng may losses doon during sa paghahakot. No? Kailangan malapit sa transport facilities. So, ganyan ang buhay ng isang farming, isang enterprise. That is how commodities are produced. So, si manager ngayon have a very good role to play in order to come up with profits. Siyempre, ang profits, ma-achieve yan kung makukuha mo yung goals mo, ng number ng harvest mo. And a good price, siyempre, meron ka ng set na price na sana ganito. Kaya nga nagiging problem ngayon yung who sets the price? Sino ba magsasabi ng presyo? Sa atin, ang buyer nagsasabi, ganito ko lang babayilhin yan. Lakas ng loob na magsabi noon kasi kapag di mo binenta sa kanya, araw-araw, yung iyong commodity would suffer from perishability. So, lalong bumababa ang presyo, especially kung yan ay mga fresh fruits and vegetables. Mabuti kung kape, you can store it. Mabuti kung mga onions, pwede mong store. So, varieties of crops and varieties of practices, selling practices, marketing, we call it marketing. So, those are major consideration. So this one naman is interaction of agricultural processes and environmental factors. So sabi rito, it is impossible. It is not possible. So to produce a crop or livestock to meet market specification without applying certain practices or interventions. This is because in the case of crops, the planting of large areas to a single crop upsets the natural balance in the first place. Malaking lugar, maluang na area, tatamnan mo ng single crop, isang klase lang. Ang problem daw doon, nagkakaroon ng parang disruption or na-upset mo yung natural balance in the first place. Sabi, paano? Tinatanong ko na rin yun. Paano kaka-apekto yun? Yung natural balance. Kanya ganito yan eh. Doon sa lugar na yun, merong presence ng iba-ibang organisms. Good and bad insects, birds, and other living organisms. Yung those who are under the soil, mas marami doon. Kapag ka nagkaroon ng single cropping, ang mangyayari doon, merong isang panahon kapag tagbulaklak noong halaman na yon, gustong-gustong puntahan yan ng mga insekto, especially ng mga bees, naghahanap ng pollen. Kaya lamang, merong crops na once a year lang. And without that, minsan lang mamumulaklak yan, yung mga insekto na yon na dependent doon sa ibang halaman sana, wala na siyang mapuntahan. Kasi wala na siyang, hindi na panahon ng tagbulaklak, ay next year na uli siya or 4 months after pa uli siya nagpo-produce ng kanyang bulaklak, ng pollen. So what would happen to the insects, good or bad? Ano yan? Magkakaroon ng gugutom din sila. Some would go away or probably die naturally. Minsan namamatay yung mga good insects like bees, kaya umuunti na. Kapag nawala yung mga insects na yan, even yung prey, yung kumakain sa insect na mga ibon, lumalayas din, humahanap ng ibang lugar, nagmamigrate sila. So nagkakaroon ng imbalance, yan ang sinasabi diyan. And then because of large scale production, at masisira ng mga insekto, kasi meron mga insekto na favorite yung halamang yon, doon sila magpaparami. Tapos yun uli ang tanim mo next time, ando na sila. So binabantayan ka na. So yun yung reason noon. And then you apply all sorts of inputs or implements doon sa lupa mo. Some are toxic. You are also killing organism below ground. Good and bad. Mas madaling mamatay yung good. Uubos, So again, you will learn the importance ng organism below the soil, below the plants or nasa soil. So a source, the farmer find himself in competition with nature. A source of food which did not exist before is created for various pests and diseases. In addition to this, different crops have to be manipulated in various ways to bear high yields of uniformly sized harvest entities of the desired qualities. So, dumadami ang ating problem. So, these are the challenges by the farmer: achieve yield targets, ensure the products meet market quality and specification in such a way that the process is sustainable and within the framework of good agricultural practices. Environmentally speaking, therefore, production must be managed in such a way that the processes can be used repeatedly throughout the lifespan of the production area, such as field or orchard, and beyond. This is achieved by minimizing the use of harmful production practices and applying those that have minimum negative impact on the environment. Optimum use of resources for optimum output. Natural and mobile resources should be deployed in an effective manner. This means avoiding wastage, duplication, and incorrect resource application and timing. For example, water, which is a scarce resource, should be applied at the right times and in the right amounts. To achieve this may require that other resources such as soil be properly selected and prepared, that the labor, another important resource, used to apply the water be adequately trained. Dapat marunong talagang magdilig. Resources can also be underused. For example, the establishment of a new production area, such as field, orchard, animal husbandry area, requires adequate capital to be available for the purchase of high-quality inputs such as nursery materials, trees, animal breeding stock, irrigation system, and required equipment. Capital is a resource which, if not available in sufficient amount, can lead to an undercapitalized venture and likely failure. In addition, with the effective use of resources, appropriate systems, processes, and procedures that enable the achievement of the highest income at the lowest cost must be put in place. The highest income is achieved when resources are cost effectively applied or cost effectively applied to optimize production, and in so doing, also enable the greatest possible proportion of yield to meet the demands and requirements of the best paying markets, either local or export. So that ends our lecture for today. Our next topic would be manufacturing and processing. I hope you learn and enjoy our lecture. I will not entertain questions today, but you can put your questions doon sa ating chat group, and I will try to answer that. So thank you very much for listening to me. And by the way, maybe next week there will be quizzes. Okay, so you start watching again and playing the videos that I sent earlier to you, so that you will be ready. You can watch it as much as we want, many times as you want, before taking the examination next week. Thank you very much.
Thank you po, sir.
Okay.